Short cuts. Should there happen to be any other cloud-fearing technophiles who've recently invested in some extra robust screen protection for their palm-sized portal to paradise, drastically downscaled OLED TV, state-of-the-smart secretary, compact virtual GP, personal digital fitness coach, pocket home office PC, ultra-mobile music centre, or indeed, now largely redundant, telecommunications device, then you might have found that this supplementary scratch guard renders the sole practical aspect of any touchscreen compatible gloves dysfunctional, due to the extra layer of synthetic material that now separates mortal skin from reinforced Gorilla Glass. Should this misfortune have befallen you, don't fret, for I have a literal life hack. Simply take any pair of relatively sharp scissors from your average kitchen drawer, then snip off the thumb and index finger of whichever glove goes on the hand you use to swipe, tap, poke, or pinch. Remember, trim off as little as possible, so as to preserve the garment's thermally retentive properties, and if in doubt, start with the very tip and work downwards until seamless operation can be accomplished. It is also strongly advised that you remove the glove from your hand before carrying out this surgical procedure. Then, pray conditions in Britain's officially temperate climate somehow never get chilly enough to give you frostnip on just these exposed appendages. Regardless, it's still marginally warmer than the warmest woolen mittens, whilst the diminished drag will add exactly 0.0002 kilometers per hour of game-changing velocity when travelling into headwinds that howl louder than any other happy thought. Sit, stand, send. A steady 90 minutes of admin that I felt was far better actively dealt with on a stationary bike than in the swivel saddle, not least due to the sedentary habits that recreational screen and keyboard culture breeds within the average desk jockey. Managed between 4 and 6 words per kilometre, when not distracted by texted small talk amongst fellow Zwifters discussing the best second-hand builds available to those with budgets of less than Britain's average winter fuel tariff. From the algorithmic perspective of Strava's data mining motion police, this no doubt constituted solid progress, with concentration levels approaching a 30-day peak. Several rage-induced power surges were triggered by Apple's ropey speech recognition, translating phrases like, "We hope you're well" to "We hope you're in hell," though these catastrophic errors were manually corrected before impulsively tapping send. What felt probable? One of those occasions when it feels as though your head is attempting to simulate the hangover that Jack's legendary giant experienced moments after being roused from a stupor induced by guzzling several dozen gallons of vat-matured mead, then proclaiming to his stolen gold harp,
"Listen, mate, I ain't lifting a limb to save your twitchy strings, no matter how loudly you sing. That bean-bearing rascal has already pilfered every penny of my winter savings for at least the next half-century, and the home insurance plan I prepaid for last spring to protect against thieves and invasive climbing plants will be sure to deal me a sizable lump sum if I can prove you were bloody stolen. So just pray you're traded for something worthwhile and end up with a musical new owner. Oh, and I never liked bloody green sleeves."
By Dr. Garmin's guesstimated reckoning, my aerobic endeavours were aligned with tip-top tempo throughout 60 minutes of mostly seated salad spinning, with 1 or 2 mashes executed whilst tackling the Ocean Tube's southern exit, when I was able to synchronise my cross-country cadence with the undulating wings of its resident manta rays. These modest rigours left a distinctly sourer sensation in my legs and lungs than would be typically required for 200 weighted watts, which no degree of efficient pedalling could suppress. Asymmetries involving a higher perceived exertion rate than both one's measured pulse and power output are generally a sign of fatigue, though in this instance the mismatch in heartfelt and monitored effort seemed more significant than any zonal disparity between beats and watts. Became pleasantly distracted during a heart-free cool-off by another ingenious life hack divulged in GCN's recent featurette, which charted their presenting team's shared toils whilst competing in last year's National Hill Climbing Championship. The tip in question came indirectly from Pro Tour rider Tadej Pogačar, who ingeniously tilts his saddle forwards by the precise degree necessary to offset the average positive gradient of whichever ultra-hilly course he's riding, thereby ensuring the saddle remains level throughout most of the ride's duration, allowing him to feel like he's riding along flat terrain whenever tackling steep ascents from a seated position. For cyclists who spend the majority of their climbing time chair-bound, this simple workaround would alleviate considerable tension in the hands and wrists, since one would not need to grip the bars as tightly to prevent sliding backwards.